Okay, I just got back from lunch and it's hot and I'm tired. So I'm just gonna leave this thing sitting here. I did a quick test and some things aren't working. I don't have a headlight. Got turn signals on one side and not the other. Basically, I'm gonna take that switch assembly apart again tomorrow morning, but not now. Right now I'm tired. I could have messed up a wire in there, who knows? I've got the battery charger on the battery because I think that's low also. And I'm gonna find the flasher and put in a variable load turn signal flasher to try to speed up and make the left and right turn signals the same. Anyway, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. The heat is going up and I am going down. So I'm gonna just stop this, let's sit here and charge overnight and pick it up tomorrow morning. All right, so I did a quick test on the bike with this switch assembly installed, and basically nothing worked. It's not the switches, by the way. I took them off. I've been checking all the switches with the meter. Every single switch works absolutely perfectly. So that what I did, or that which I did, is working perfectly. There's no problem here. There's a problem in here. I bet you it's some sort of bad ground. There are wires in here I don't understand. There are wires in here that are going out and clamping to the framework of the mounting ears to put a ground on them for the turn signals. Not a good idea. Should just run a separate wire into the turn signal. I'll do that tomorrow. So I get to go into this wiring and figure out what's wrong. Oh well, the fun never stops. It just never stops. In the meantime, I've got the battery charger hooked up, charging the battery. Well, it's Saturday. No, it's not. It's Friday. Friday, July 4th. 4th of July. Fireworks tonight. Hopefully, no fireworks today in here. Last night, I did enough testing on the bike to realize that things aren't working right. The turn signals are not only working on one side. I don't have headlights. It's not. There's something wrong. Now, I also did enough testing to prove that the switches I worked on yesterday are working perfectly. I did use the meter, I went through all the circuitry, and everything is working absolutely perfectly. So it's not here, okay? I'll put these back on. It's not, the problem is not here. The problem's over here. Undoubtedly, in the moving of wires around, I have dislodged a wire or something, and I've got to figure out what, where, and why. Now, but the problem is deeper in that there are some really heavy red wires going out of this headlight. This is not a great ground. I'll fix that. And they're going out, and here's a wire that's loose right there. That's important too. That's ignition. So they're going out to the mounting bolt of the headlight ears. Let me see if I can zoom in here. See down there? That's a red wire going down here, hooked to the mounting bolt. Let's see if I can get that black wire out of the way. Yeah, that takes the black wire out of the way. See that red wire? It's going down to the mounting bolt for this this ear. And I think what they're trying to do there is put a good ground on this turn signal stalk, because these ears that mount the headlight are actually on a rubber cushion and may not be a good ground. That's not the way to do it. What you do is you run another ground wire, small ground wire, out here and hook it to the lamp socket in here. These are always a bad ground. Using the frame for these turn signals was always a bad idea. So I'm going to take this headlight out of the bracket first of all and get rid of those heavy-duty grounds that are going to the bolt bring well, I know there's a ground coming in from the body of the bike. You know, these are good grounds coming in from the wiring harness. And I'll put in a ground junction in here, and I'll run wires to these turn signals to give them a good ground. And first of all, I'll plug this in and see if I have at least as good as it was before I started fixing that switch. Okay? So stuff I don't like is in here, and I'm going to fix it, and then we'll see what happens. Now, once again, this is all remedial. It's internally caused, shall we say, caused right here in the shop. I don't know if it was a problem beforehand, but it's a problem now. So that's not chargeable. I'm just doing this on my time and to occupy myself and basically have fun. So that's where we are. And I guarantee this is the reason why we didn't have headlights, and I don't know what all. So anyway, that's where we are. I'm going to probably go ahead and remount those switches and hook them up in here. And then, well, first of all, I'm going to take the headlight right off the bike, drop it forward and get rid of those silly grounds, and run new ground wires to these turn signals, just because it's the right thing to do. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right, so taking the headlight off and out. See a few extra wires hanging out. Okay, this wire I was talking about back here, that goes from that mounting bolt. Let me zoom in a little. Zoom in, there you go. That wire that goes from that mounting bolt to this mounting bolt right over here, short ground wire. And over on this side, same thing. See that bolt there going over to the bolt here. Apparently our factory. And that was when they found out that rubber mounting these ears was stupid. And they didn't get a good ground for the turn signal. So they ran these wires to ground these ears so that the turn signal stalks would have a good ground. Well, this is a lousy ground to begin with. First of all, these are painted. And that's not a good ground. And these are plastic with some sort of chrome paint on them, and that's not a good ground. Bottom line, these turn signals, from the day they were incepted, were stupid. They need a second wire to ground directly to the socket. That's what I'm doing now. I'm putting in a separate ground wire to each of these turn signals so that they have a nice solid ground, and that way they'll work properly, okay? In the meantime, back here, these four wires were heat shrinked together, but the solder didn't take. So I'm going to redo those. And then that white wire has obviously pulled out of that connector there. I'm going to get power to the headlight that way. So, and here's another not great connection that I'll fix. So, enough stuff in here to keep me busy for a while. And actually, I'm glad I discovered this, because even if everything had worked, these things really do need attention. So I'm now attending them. All right, I've got the ground wire run to the inside of the turn signal, and I just soldered it right there on both sides, and ran it out the tube, so it's coming out in here with the black wire. Here they are. Let's see if I can see it somewhere. So now we have red and black coming out, and both of these will go into the headlight and connect to the turn signal. Okay, so at least now we have a solid ground going from inside the headlight directly to the light bulb socket. Okay, that's the best way to ground your turn signals. Okay, I'm ready to start connecting wires. Now what I did is I took two red wires and I soldered them to the inside of the shell. It gives me a good soldering junction. Okay, junction. Keep in mind junction, right? These two will now go to these two connectors. This is what I call a two-way, which is actually a four-way. And this is, I call a three-way, which is actually a six-way. I'll put this one on one, and I'll put this one on the other. That'll give me plenty of connections for all the various and sundry red wires that may or may not be in here, including this one and this one, both of which come out of the main wiring harness from the bike. So we got two really good grounds. They'll go to these connectors, and the connectors will go to these connectors, and these connectors will go to these connectors, and you're going to have a ground system here that's really, really wonderful. Now, somebody out there is going to say, but what happens if that breaks free? You can't solder to that chrome. Well, actually you can. I took an X-Acto knife and I hash marked that thing. I scraped away the surface, and I've got a good solder joint there. But remember, that's not doing anything other than being a junction. And if I have all these wires connected to these junctions, remember, the headlight shell itself does not have to be grounded. All the components that are inside the headlight shelf have to be grounded. I could just make that junction, or I could have just put a connector in there in place of that junction. I just do this because, well, it floats my boat. So anyway, remember, this doesn't have to be grounded. All of the lights and parts that go to ground have to be grounded. And this gives you one heck of a solid ground system when you hook up all these wires to the junctions. Okay? Enough said, hopefully. Well, now, golly gee, it's, gosh, noon. And the electrical system is complete. I've cleaned up the wiring in the head. It may not look like it's cleaned up to you, but believe me, it's cleaned up. And all the grounds are here. Nice bundle. Parking light, headlight. Turn signals all work. Let's turn the key on. The key is on. Let's turn the parking light on. So we have parking light here. And we go back here. And we have parking light there. Now, just for grins in the parking position, let's see if we have tail light. I think brake light. Yes, we do. Both pedal and handle. Go up to headlight position. We have headlight on, parking light on, helicopter, high beam, low beam. Yeah, just tell me that so-and-so's up at flight minimums. It's like 500 feet over my house. Make me crazy. Okay, I'll turn these off. Turning turn signal on over here. Hello, turn signal. There it is. Very slow. Turn signal over there. But they are flashing. Now the thing that I'm going to do is find the flasher. I think the flasher is behind this side panel over here. Maybe, possibly. And, okay. And I'm going to change it out to a variable load rather than the old standard. Let's see, what else? A horn. See that with headlights on it? It's just not doing it. Have a turn signals on. It's making me crazy too. Turning turn signals off. I think this battery's going. I put the battery in the charger overnight. And a minute ago I had battery, I had horn. So I'm not thrilled. I got slow turn signals and the horn's not horning. The horn not horning. The horn's not beeping. And yet it was a minute ago. So I'm gonna put a test, I'm gonna take the battery out and test it. See how strong it is. All right, but basically everything's done. I can put all this back together because it all works. And it's much neatified, shall we say. All right, I'm going to button things up. All right, I've got the battery out and hooked up to a load tester. And the reading is at this point in time marginally okay, but since I put the load on it, watch what happens. Drops right off to the bad. Now keep in mind, I had this battery on a 24-hour overnight charge. So this battery is weak, needs to be replaced. But just to prove things, I'm going to put it on a charger overnight again. And tomorrow being Saturday, I don't expect on a weekend. I'll check with Batteries Plus to see if they're open or if they are going to be open or what. But it's going to be probably Monday or Tuesday before I get a new battery. So that's where we are. Okay, good news. I Googled Batteries Plus, and they're closed today, of course, but they will be open tomorrow according to their website. So tomorrow I'll see if I can find a battery at any of the local Batteries Plus and put a fresh battery in this bike. It's sort of a moot point because we're waiting on a speedometer drive. I think that I will, once I've tested the electrical system and declared it good, shall we say, I will move the bike off the lift and put Fred back up and see if I can do some more work on him while we wait for the speedometer drive to come in. And that's where we are. That's where we are. That's just the way it is. It's 12:20 on the 4th of July, and I'm going to call it a day. Go do some videos. I did a half a dozen videos of me rebuilding this switch over here, and they're really boring. They're really, really, really boring, and they're really, really, really long because it took a long, long, long time to rebuild that switch. And I'm going to see if I can chop those videos up into shorter segments and maybe publish it just so you can see what's inside one of these switches. But I don't promise success. So we'll see what happens when I try to do that.